Welcome, fans, to Talking T-Birds, our weekly coaches show. I'm your host, Phil Kohler, and today I'm joined by the head of the Casper College Thunderbirds, Sean Gutting. So, Coach, you guys get a big win last week at Central Wyoming. You come in 16-5. Let's jump right into that three-point win. You guys have 5 different players in double figures. Jamison Epps with 22, Nestor Diachok with 18, Jaron Harris 17, Dalton Peterson 15, and Darius Robinson chips in 10. Talk a little bit about the consistency and the depth that you guys provided on Wednesday.
Yeah, I think our guys were really locked in and really engaged early. Proved that the couple days of practice before benefited them. And then guys really embraced their role, really embraced the fact that, we needed guys to step up, make shots, make plays. And now it's just a matter of how consistently can they do it. We've been kind of waiting for Nestor to have a game like that this year. He showed a couple flashes of it. Jamison was consistent. Dalton and Darius were helping us make threes. And it helps us really spread the floor. And then Jaron obviously has started to come into his own and be the player we expected him to be coming back from last year now that he's healthy.
Sure. Talk a little bit about Nestor's aggressiveness offensively on Wednesday, and that's something that, when he came in, he was a very highly touted three-point shooter, but now all of a sudden he's been able to get to the rim. He's rebounding the basketball at a higher clip. Talk about that evolution of his.
Yeah, we challenged him early in the year, challenged him this summer, with the time I spent around him, to be more than just a one-dimensional guy. Everybody knows he can shoot it. Coaches know he can shoot it. What else are you going to bring to the table? And, I really do think, he's embraced it and started to kind of turn a corner. He's averaging about 6 rebounds a game, which last year he averaged like 1.5. He's embraced lately trying to get to the rim, trying to be at least, consistent around the rim to where it kind of helps open up the rest of his game and helps our team out a ton. It takes some pressure off of those other guys from having to make contested jumpers versus getting wide open ones. Between him and Jamison being able to score around the rim, it really opens things up for the rest of the squad.
Sure. So Nestor shoots it pretty well Wednesday, along with the rest of the group. You guys as a team shoot it almost 60% from 3 on Wednesday. On the road, talk a little bit about the shot quality that you guys are taking. You guys in the past have had some games where you guys have shot a volume amount of shots. But this game, you don't necessarily shoot the volume, but you shoot it at a much higher clip. Is that something that you guys have emphasized?
Yeah, we mostly just try and talk about keeping it simple, and not taking crazy threes, not taking ones that are contested, ones that, you see NBA guys make all the time. Mostly for us, it's trying to just get it out of the flow of our offense. At Central, we did a really good job, especially in the first half and the beginning of the second half, of getting ones that were just open, drive and kick, easier percentage, higher percentage threes. Some of the games we've struggled from 3 have been ones where we've just taken them off the bounce and taken them off the dribble. So I think, ultimately that's kind of the difference between us shooting it well and having nights off, where whether or not our shot selection is with the pace of our offense versus guys feeling like they have to play a little bit of hero ball every now and then.
And it did. It seemed like Wednesday night, you guys, a lot of the three-point shots that you got were a part of the offense, were a part of the flow of the offense, and looked like good shots. So at one point, you guys in the second half are up, I think, 18 points. You guys end up winning by 3. You guys have to battle down the stretch. At one point, Central Wyoming had tied it. Talk a little bit about how important it is for you guys to be in a game like that, and maybe not so much right now, but towards the end of the year, how important it's going to be to have these experiences to look back on.
Yeah, I think understanding and being willing to accept the fact that you're not going to beat everybody by 20. Rarely is that going to happen in conference play. So you need the experience of executing down the stretch, in a close game, defending and getting stops when you really, really need them when the game is on the line. I was grateful for the fact that we had to go through something like that, because it was probably going to be good for us at the end of the road. And just being able to learn myself and our team of, what we need to do rotational-wise, what we need to do to keep guys fresh, at the end of games, and really play a full 40 minutes. We've probably only done that close to that maybe once or twice this year, and that's what's dangerous about our group is that, if we ever put together a full 40 minutes, I don't know what we'll look like. It could be pretty good.
Yeah. So you guys end up having 4 players that play over 30 minutes. Talk about that grittiness and that grind of the last couple of minutes. Central Wyoming ties the game. It gets awfully loud in that gym, and they kind of have you on the ropes a little bit, but you guys battle through. You guys have some guys that played a lot of minutes, but to be able to finish that game in the way that they did, you got to be proud of that.
Yeah, I think part of it is also, us having older guys, sophomores, all those guys that are averaging over 30 are mostly sophomores, guys that have been through it a little bit. So I think their experience helps, hopefully stay calm in those situations. Part of it is also our group is, as crazy as it is, we've been around each other 4 or 5 months, we're still getting to know each other, through adversity, through moments of hardship, who's going to respond what way, and who needs to help a teammate out, who needs to help a guy out stay calm or stay focused. And it's kind of rotated this year with guys doing that. But ultimately, them deciding how they want to finish a game is all about their effort and their actions. When it got ugly a little bit against Central there, we fell asleep, didn't stick to our principles, didn't stay disciplined on both ends of the floor, and it showed, and it was part of the reason they came back on top of them starting to make plays. And our response and being able to make free throws on the road and clutch ones, getting stops when we needed them, ultimately gave us the win and probably helped us learn a lot about ourselves.
Sure. So now would be the time where we would get to talk about the excellent game between you guys and LCCC on Saturday. Unfortunately, that game gets, we'll say, snowed out, weathered out, whatever you want to say. Talk a little bit about the decision-making process and what goes into that decision on having to reschedule.
Well, it's happened every year that I've been here. We've had to cancel or postpone a game, maybe 2 every now and then. This one was mostly us just waiting to see what the roads looked like come Saturday morning and really trying to decide, between us and LCCC's coaches, what's the most safe route to do this, knowing that we have other dates possibly open, we can play later. Do we really want to take the chance of us going down there, getting stuck for 3 days, and then, screwing up our schedule and backtracking it completely? So ultimately on Saturday morning we decided, look, it's probably not the safest route. We got to make sure we take care of the kids, take care of the people that work for us. And ultimately get us into a situation where we can reschedule later. And so we ended up doing that.
Well, and I do think we kind of put a little bit of a jinx on it 2 weeks ago. We did talk about the Wyoming weather on this show and how it hadn't really affected you guys much yet on the road this year.
It's only a matter of time.
I think that we should both take a little bit of credit for unfortunately doing that.
They call that the sportscaster jinx.
That's it, absolutely. So you guys have set a makeup date, though. Go ahead and tell the fans when that's going to be.
It's going to be February 8th at LCCC, 7:30 that night. Women will play at 5:30. And hopefully, crossing our fingers, that's the only one we'll have to do here in the month of February, so we can kind of keep our schedule Wednesday, Saturday. I'm pessimistic at heart, so I'm assuming that probably will not be the case. But we're crossing our fingers.
You live in Wyoming long enough, you realize that it's just going to happen. So that's next Wednesday, 7:30, Laramie County Community College YouTube page. You can catch the Thunderbirds playing down in Cheyenne. So finally to the good stuff. You guys are finally back at home. Wednesday night, you guys get Eastern Wyoming. Eastern comes in at 4-17, but they've beaten a couple of really good teams. They've beaten a Western Nebraska team. They've beaten an Air Force prep team that's always well coached. Right. Talk a little bit about what to expect from Eastern Wyoming.
They play really hard. When you watch them play, you would have no clue that they're 4-17. Their kids don't give up. They're talented. They got 3 guys that can really, really score it, really shoot it. They kind of just embrace who they are, and it's never an easy game. No matter what either of our records are, it's never easy to go into there and just beat somebody. We had a close one with them earlier this year. We played them in the preseason, and I expect it kind of be the same way tomorrow night. Because I'm sure they're going to come in wanting to play really well, wanting to take the chance of beating us. And I've told our guys a lot, hey, you wear the Casper uniform on the front of your chest, you're going to end up getting everyone's best shot.
Absolutely. So you talk about you guys have seen them already. You saw them in the first weekend of the year when you guys were in Salt Lake. Talk about the difference between then and now and how both teams really have changed probably quite a bit.
Yeah, nobody's the same team they were in November, in November and December. I think they have really grown into knowing who their guys are, who their role players, who's looking for shots when, trying to isolate the right guys with Barbie averaging 18 a game, and their big Seal who can score it in a couple different ways, very athletic. I think they know who they are. They don't really fight it. And I think ultimately we're a completely different team too, as far as everybody's confidence and what they're expected to do. And, as of late, we're still trying to find new roles for guys, but, it's only going to be a learning curve for us.
Sure. So then Saturday, you guys head down to Rock Springs. You get Western Wyoming. Always a tough place to play. Always a well-coached team down there. Western comes in at 14-8. They come off of a 2-point loss to LCCC last weekend. Talk a little bit about what you've seen from them so far.
We've seen each other so much this year because we've played in the same classics and tournaments. We just haven't played each other yet. Coach Sosa has a great squad again. They play a little different style than they have the last couple of years. They're fast. They get the ball up and down the floor. Really kind of similar to what we've done the last few years, which makes them really hard to guard. Especially at their place, they get running, they get going. It's a different matchup. I expect it to be a really tough one. It's always been a tough one. I think, every single game with them the last 4 years has been within 5 points. So we're going to have some elite toughness to us to win on the road against a team that, everybody fully expects to be in the top 2, top 3 by the end of the year.
Sure. So you talk about their tempo and you're wanting to be tempo too. Talk about what those two styles playing against each other, like you're preparing basically against yourself in that type of situation. But talk a little bit about what those two styles matched up against each other is going to look like.
Could be a lot of fun for the fans to watch. Could be really, really stressful for me. Sure. Both of us score it. Both of us try and get up and down the floor. It could be a little helter-skelter. I'm really curious to see kind of how our guys respond because we haven't played a team that really does that in a while. It hasn't been since the beginning of the year since we played a couple of teams like that that really try and get up and down the floor like us. So, I'll be curious to see how it responds. We're going to need, really good performances from our bench, especially here lately, just knowing that, we're a little shorthanded. We got guys that are going to have to come in and give us key minutes, to help out our starters and help out these other guys get time to rest.
Well, and it kind of sounds like it's going to be one of those games that's going to come down to who has the ball last, right? But you look at your first 2 games in conference, it was kind of that same way again. Does it feel like all your conference games this year are going to kind of come down to those last couple of possessions and who can make plays down the stretch?
Yeah, I don't get gray hairs in my hair just yet, but I get them in my beard, and I think I just have noticed a couple more coming in, and it'll probably be one a game this year. I don't expect it to be any different. Road games, home games, it's just how it's going to go. Because everybody in this league competes, everybody really wants to try and win. And there's not really an off night.
Yeah. So you talk a little bit about Coach Sosa and the job that he does at Western Wyoming. Talk about, you've seen them a couple of times this year, but you talk about the way that things change with a team between the start of the year and the end of the year, regardless of sets and things like that. But you've got guys stepping into different roles and things like that.
Sure. I think it comes down to players making plays ultimately late in the season because we know each other so well. We've seen each other play so many times. It's not going to be some sort of X's and O's thing. It's going to be an adjustments thing. What can our players do when, the defense and the team that we're playing against knows what you're going to do? How are you going to make plays that you haven't made yet? And I think that's really the biggest difference. We can add in new things, take things away. Our playbook's pretty big, pretty wide. I don't know if we know how to run all the plays right, but I know what they are. It's one of those things where it comes down to really executing and just having the confidence to keep growing, keep maturing, and knowing that, if you're a winner, you win.
Sure. So Saturday, 4 o'clock from Rock Springs, Wyoming. You guys can find that game on the YouTube page for Western Wyoming Mustang Athletics, 4 o'clock on Saturday. Coach, last thing, let's talk a little bit about where standings are at. I know that we've only played 2 games. Should have been 3, unfortunately, but 2 games in. LCCC and Northwest both sitting at 2-0. Casper and Western both at 1-1. Eastern and Central both at 0-2. Talk a little bit about the standings, kind of where you see teams, where teams are at right now, and then also talk about the importance of getting one of those top 2 seeds and looking towards Region 9 play.
Yeah, I think it's clear to all of us that it's still wide open. We don't know who, is going to end up finishing on top. Everybody's got a really legit chance at it, because every game's been close so far. I think it's really important to obviously give yourself a 1 or a 2 seed bye. It's not the end of the world, finishing 3 or 4. It's kind of nice getting to play again in between that week before the regional tournament. Kind of get the nervousness out the way. But getting the bye would help us with the rest and help, teams with the rest and everything like that. And obviously the opportunity to possibly host makes it very special, knowing that the community of Casper would come out and support. The gym would be rocking, and it's a chance that the school hasn't had in a very long time.
Sure. And let's talk a little bit more about this. The number 1 seed from the North this year, because of the alternation, with the men's side this year, the number 1 seed from the North will get to host the tournament. Again, just talk briefly about how important that would be for the fans of Casper, for the city of Casper, an opportunity to get behind this team that's really having a pretty good year so far.
Yeah, I think it's a chance to really see some high-level basketball in a local city, you've seen what the gym can do when Coach Canary and the girls get to host, and they've won it at home. And this is an opportunity, like I said, it's been, 8 or 9 years since, Casper's hosted a regional tournament. And it can be special, the kids will see the support. Families can bring their kids out, get to experience college basketball, at its finest, get to see a lot of players that ultimately will end up playing on Saturday afternoons on ESPN, and it does happen. So, I think the excitement of that is there, but, for us, we got to realize that it's just day by day, game by game. We can't think that far ahead. And I think our guys have their heads, screwed on tight knowing that.
Excellent. Coach, anything you want to add before we go?
Sean Payton to the Denver Broncos, please. I'm just calling it out. Sean, guys, let's get it done. What are we talking about? All right, I just need it, okay?
So, the Casper College Coaches Show, we're talking NFL now. Fans, just a reminder, Wednesday, 7:30 from here at Sweet Erickson Gymnasium, Casper College Thunderbirds take on the Eastern Wyoming Lancers. Saturday from Rock Springs, Wyoming, Casper College Thunderbirds take on the Western Wyoming Mustangs, and that'll be on the Western Wyoming Mustang Athletics YouTube page. Anything to add?
Go T-Birds, Coach.
Go T-Birds. Thanks for tuning in.